I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, August the 27th, brought to you in part by Farapeace, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. Farapeace should be used every time cattle are exposed to management stressors, including weaning, dehorning, castration, branding, vaccinating, commingling, new arrivals, processing, re-implanting, or sorting for slaughter. For more information, go to farapeace.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, big sale for beaver here on Tuesday. They're going to have about 3,800 cattle there. A lot of it, there are cattle that are coming in off the state of Oklahoma wildlife leases there. It's time for those cattle to come off. And Beaver is going to have 40 loads of black-hided green grass yearlings. Where are you going to find that, guys? 40 loads of them here today on Tuesday. They're going to start at 7 o'clock. You better watch this early. Get into DVAuction.com, get registered, and get ready to buy some of those cattle. On the 3,800 head, we're going to have 2,500 yearlings, 500 to 600 yearling heifers, weighing mostly from 600 to 800 pounds. There is going to be two deals of about 250 head of heifers that are checked open, heifers that they were breeding, and these come up open there, so don't have to tell you what the quality's like. It was good enough for replacements. They're big, stout, fancy heifers. Two loads of them, or two deals of them, going to make up 250 head. And then over 2,000 steers. They've got big deals of steers. Got 550 head of black grass steers coming from Woodward, Oklahoma. 250 head of green grass black steers coming from Booker. 350 from Forgan. Another deal of 200 from Forgan. And I tell you what, I mean, they're going to be marketed in loads. Going to be a lot of cattle weighing in that 850 to 1,000 pounds. A jillion 9-weight loads of steers, and I mean good enough to go absolutely anywhere. Then they're going to have another 1,000 head of calves. Calf runs are starting to show up there. About 1,000 calves, most of them weighing 400 to 600 pounds. Only about 10% of them weaned, but the quality is very good. Some of the calves that are real local coming around there, showing up with a tick of flesh on them, but a lot of the calves showing up from the Texas Panhandle to the south there, where it's gotten a little more dry, and those cattle have more condition to them, and won't take much to wean them. We'll take it. You know, we had a bearish cattle on feed report, not terribly bearish, but leaning towards the bearish side. It seemed like whenever you did the arithmetic and got down to the 1/10%, it looked a little bit more bearish. But Friday's cattle on feed report come out, inventories on August the 1st. Your average of the analyst guess was about 100%. Your actual come in at 100.5, little to the bearish side. Your placements during July come in. The average of the analyst guess was 104.2. Actuals come in at 105.8, a little bearish. And then we had that big marketings and July number come in. They guessed it at 108.2, and I knew that was going to be hard to hit. We did not quite reach it, but still got to 107.7, but still fell on the bearish side. So, I mean, we were a little bit critical of what we thought the board was going to be opening up on Monday. Everybody was a little bit leery, you know. Of course it was hot, but Joplin started really early. Yeah, it does. That's because it's hot. But after a cattle on feed report, it's pretty smart to go ahead and get a lot of those cattle marketed before the board opens too, and then the board opens higher, and significant gains on Monday. And everybody that messaged me on Monday, you know, they're like, you know, why? You know, why is it higher? I don't get it anymore. And you know, and that's one of the criticisms I hear a lot of the time about the CME Cattle Board. Since they went completely computerized, nobody has any kind of feel for the market, including the commodity brokers, the guys you call your orders into. Nobody has any feel for the market. So I guess if we could install the AI technology on those computers, maybe they would tell us. But likely what they would tell us is, well, we received more buy orders than we did sell orders. And then we'd say, smart ass. Well, that's basically all it is, and we don't know why. But a lot of cattle members would like to have a better feel for things, or maybe they would just like to see. We didn't want the market to go down on Monday, but at least if we did, we would have known why. But we don't really know what it's going to do. We don't have any idea what it's going to do from one day to the next, and that is scary. But like I said at the title of this report, we'll take it. It's okay. And we saw some nice gains there. Your feeder cattle, like in the $2 range there, close by. But whenever you got way out front, it was up in the big twos and over $3 gains. That's an opportunity, guys, to get you some LRPs. Don't say I didn't tell you, because we've still got a big correction. We've got a weaker market ahead of us. This thing could keep going up, and I hope it does. But you've got to protect yourself. And if we get these big days like this, especially when we see some impressive gains way down the road, dally up to those. Get something going there for some cattle you got to sell out in front, even if it's unborn calves. You can still do that, guys. But saw some good gains on your live cattle futures too. But as good as they were, they're still, other than once we get rid of August, and of course it's going to be gone at the end of this week. Once we get rid of August, all your traded contracts of live cattle, CME live cattle, are going to be in the 170s somewhere from now all the way to the end of next year. So it's going to be hard to hold this market up, guys. That's what I'm saying. If the futures has anything to do with what the price is going to be down the road, which I'll agree, maybe it doesn't. But I just don't think we've got more of these good days ahead of us. I think there's going to be more down days because we're going into the fall. We're going to have, even though we got tighter numbers, going to be a lot of ball and calves. Most of these feedlots are slammed full of these green grass yearlings. They're sopping up the ones that are left, just like the ones I told you are going to be at Beaver here this week and next week. And then the next week after that, Beaver's having their feeder flash, Beaver Clash special on September the 10th, and they're going to have more of those green grass yearlings then. But a lot of places are out of them. There's just not that many of them moving right now. So, be careful out there, guys. And you have to be able to manage a down market. And whether we like it or not, I think we are in a down market there. But we got some information came back from beef cold storage in July. Showed that our beef cold storage reserves are down 8.2% compared to the 5-year average. And you think, does that have to do with lower fat cattle? Well, maybe, maybe not. But the reasons that we have a lower beef cold storage than what is typical is because interest is high. People don't want to have, money invested and sitting there like that. Your processing expenses are higher. Whether it's energy to keep the freezers going, whether it's packaging, whatever it is, that's expensive. And we are exporting fewer cattle, so they're not staging that product for export because our product is still extremely high compared to other countries there. But let's look at your board, which was very impressive on Monday. We were glad to see it. We'll take it, but we don't understand why it happened. August live cattle futures were up $1.02 at 183.60. That's just $2 discount to what our cash weighted average was in your 5 area feeding region. So it had been running huge. It's kind of come back together. Maybe that has something to do with it there, that it did want to get kind of within arm's reach of it. Not sure why. But October live cattle was up 127 at 176.97, and your back months on live cattle were all up from 52 cents to $1.17. August feeder cattle was up 192 at 244.50. September up 277, but still just at 241.35. But both of those are a premium to your real-time index there through DVAuction. But your back months, where we saw the huge gains on feeder cattle, up 272 to up 317. Impressive gains there on feeder cattle futures way out front. How about December corn down 4.5 cents a bushel at 386.5? Maybe that's why your feeder cattle were higher, because corn just keeps plunging now well under $4 a bushel there, and we haven't even really got into good tests on the yields yet. November beans up 7 3/4 cents a bushel at 9.80 3/4. December hard red winter wheat up 2 1/4 cents a bushel at 5.37 1/4. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5 area feeding region was small. It's like the 4th or 5th smallest that we've had in the whole year. Was only 42,300 head. That is nothing. That's less than half what we would like to see. 42,300 compared to the previous week at 60,600. The same week a year ago, 54,900. And you say, well, we're buying for a short week next week. That didn't have as much to do with it as your board being supportive late in the week, and your packers, you know, they were enjoying having scared cattle feeders puke them cattle earlier in the week, and then they just didn't want to give any more money than that late in the week, so they just quit buying. But they did buy a large percentage of their cattle for a 2 to 4 week delivery, or listed as a 2 to 4 week delivery. Like I said, a lot of times that doesn't come out to be true. But live prices in your 5 area feeding region last week on fat steers and heifers, 182 to 190. That was only $2 lower on your price spread, but your weighted average on live steers was 185.54, down 360 compared to the previous week. We didn't lose, we just lost a couple of dimes on our live cattle futures last week, and the cash price loses $3.60. We're on a down market, guys. And that is that 185.54. That's the lowest we've seen since April. So we're definitely coming off of those big highs that we saw here just a couple of months ago. Your dressed trade price spread ranged from 288 to 295 in your 5 area feeding region. That was $5 to $7 lower. But your weighted average on dressed steers was 293.93, $4.11 lower than the previous dressed weighted average. As a whole, your market in the Southern Plains was $2 lower at 183. Northern Plains was $3 to $6 lower, from 184 to 188, and 293 to 295 dressed. Nationwide, we sold 54,700, which is light, compared to 73,200 the previous week and 68,900 the same week a year ago. Of that 54,700 we sold negotiated last week, about 42%, that's a lot, was claimed to be for the 2 to 4 week delivery. So I guess, you know, if that's true, then your packers are not short bought. Negotiated grid sales last week totaled 43,800 head. Forward contracts only 7,500. Formula sales totaled 266,300 head. Of your 4 out of 5 feeding regions that we get information from last week on a negotiated basis, Iowa sold 20,500. You know, that's 5 to 10,000 less than typical for them. Nebraska only 13,000. You know, that could be easily 8 to 10 less than what they normally do. Kansas only 4,400, about half what they normally do. And Texas was even lighter than usual at 4,400 also. So minuscule trade there last week, negotiated cash. Box beef cutout values were lower to start the week. Choice cuts down $1.44 at $315.90. Selects down 27 cents at $300.19. Your slaughter started out week 116,000 estimated cattle slaughter for Monday. That was 1,000 less than the previous week, 9,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states. Late in the day on Monday, sitting at 240.68, down 122. And that includes all your Monday sales. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 242.83. Your big sales on Monday, of course, we get our high volume Monday sales. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City had 6,000 head. The steers were steady to $2 lower, I guess all classes. Heifers unevenly steady. They noted that it was extremely hot there, and the quality of the offering was mostly on the plain side there in Oklahoma City. Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri, they had 6,600. They were only estimating 5,500, so they consistently underestimate. They're getting a lot of cattle in Joplin, guys, even when they don't know they're coming. About 1,100 underestimated there. They called the market sharply lower. Now, granted, Joplin wasn't as sharply lower last week as a lot of your Monday sales were. So maybe it had a little bit to give. But feeder steers called $2 to $8 lower. Feeder heifers $8 to $12 lower. Calves were even more sharply lower than that called. And, you know, I talked to some guys that were there. They said, gosh, it sure didn't look that much lower, but they've just been used to the lower market. But anyways, that's the way they called it there at Joplin Regional Stockyards. Russell Livestock in Russell, Iowa had 3,200 head. It's a big sale for them, and it was a top quality sale. Had some impressive quotes throughout. Russell, Iowa was their NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. You look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. You look at your best tested weights. How about 385 head of 7-weight steers in Russell, Iowa? They averaged 740 pounds with a weighted average price of $257.23. 827 head of 8-weight steers averaged 844 at $249.39. There were 400 head of 9-weight steers in Russell. They averaged 968 pounds with a weighted average price of $228.52. Heifers, 303 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 653 at $253.75, and 321 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 754 pounds with a weighted average price of $232.90. Give you some individual quotes from all around. How about Callaway Livestock Sitter in Kingdom City, Missouri? They sell 63 steers, weigh 821 pounds at $250.50. Go up in the northern plains to Aberdeen, South Dakota. Aberdeen Livestock Sales, they sell 52 steers, weigh 808 pounds at $254. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Russell, Iowa at Russell Livestock Market. DVAuction broadcaster there, we're proud to have them. They sell 70 steers, weigh 803 pounds at $258. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.